Hello,
So, hey folks,
everybody.
how are you? Today we are starting with our DevOps series with our expert speaker, Mr. Vishwas Narayan, who will be taking our first session of this series, namely GitHub Actions with basics of GH Actions and Azure Cloud. And I am very excited to learn this and hope you all must be very excited for this session as well as the upcoming sessions. Let's hand over it to the speaker. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Not sir, Vishwas, by the way. That's it. So I'm still young, don't worry. So I just shared the resource with him, and basically this resource is basically a cover of all the slides, most of it, like which talks a lot of DevOps, the resources which talks a lot of DevOps, and also a lot of new things that we go behind, right? It's all about like, hey, how many slides I need for understanding DevSecOps and everything. I've covered all the resources that I could get my hands on towards, and like everything, the state of the DevSecOps reports, the software supply chain report, SEC reports I have not added because every company has their own, like every SEC reports has. Awesome. So let me just share my screen, go ahead with whatever we really wanted to accomplish today, and let's get it started. So let's go from the beginning. So slideshow. So let's just not start with this notion that, hey, what is this DevOps and everything all about? DevOps was always there. So basically, it's a purpose for an institution or a company which you are talking about. Why did I choose GitHub Actions? Because I saw amazing projects like Hopscotch. I saw amazing projects like React, TensorFlow, PyTorch, which is being hosted using GitHub Actions, as well as one of the best part of all these kind of uh, DevOps strategies that companies build is that they have strategies for a sustainable and a longevity of their marketplace. Like they know that it's just going to be the same old builds and the deploys and things like that, but let's just make use of it. So what I thought was like, okay, it's still going to be YAML even at hundreds of tools, but like we need to understand what is the requirement of the hour. Then I was like, okay, fine. So DevOps is a purpose for an institution should be the best title for it. So this was me in engineering. Like I just joined engineering with a lot of passion that, hey, I'll just do this, I'll do that. I was like, okay, fine. I was just finding my purpose, and all of the sudden I saw and posters similar to this. I don't know whether this company still does that or not, but like I just found a poster like this saying that must have skills for data scientists and everything. I was so fascinated by the amount of skills that you need here, but everybody can do that. It's pretty simple. Just go to the documentation to start studying. I was like, okay, fine. It's actually a myth. Like you can't learn everything at one given point of time. So next thing was, my life was really good. It was really, really good as a student. I just wanted to do something, but it was me inside who was always thinking like, hey, I need help and I need something to be found out from myself. Like I just want something new. I just want to be you, kind of a thing. And I always talked about like deployment at scale, deployable aspects, and what do company strategies towards. And that's where DevOps comes into the picture. My life just had a very bad turn when I just learned that, hey, everybody can do the technology, but strategizing the right decisions to make sure that your code sits in the right place, that's the biggest challenge over a course of time. And right now, don't have this in your mind. DevOps is not tools. DevOps not everything in an application. DevOps is not just a process and people. DevOps makes and breaks a culture and an institution. Like it's basically that one thing. So do have this in mind about all these, but don't ponder upon the fact that it's just tools, it's just technologies, this and that. Its basic definition of DevOps is like it breaks and makes an institution. Forget the fact that there is going to be hundreds of tools, but tomorrow, if your company asks for you to deliver something on time, you need to be ready to deliver. And that's what DevOps was all about. So a little bit of definitions, I go nuts sometimes on internet and I'll be like, yeah, this was when I was just doing a lot of things like this. Yeah, just preparing for all these kind of things. So at the end of the day, it's all about this. All systems have a purpose to be flaw, and there is always a need for you to go back to that same old architecture diagram, revamp everything, and start working towards. So it's basically a decision making system that you're building right now. So companies ask for it. What kind of a tools are you really work towards? But like, can you relate to any of the tools and you can start working? Or else can you relate to any of the documentation? I think probably I can share you one of my LinkedIn posts which had all the architecture, like system architecture vishwas, something like I had written. Yes, this is the one. Yep, this is the one. I think this post which I'm sharing with you guys right now, I just drew it out of nowhere. Like I just wanted to draw it and I just drew it there. And this is the one. I think that's perfect. So you guys can go check out all the slides. So, yep, let's just go back to the slides. Let's just go to it. So it's all this definition that comes up, and if you want a bigger definition, I have it here, so you guys can go check it out. So there are some amazing stories about DevOps. So this is one of the resources that I collected. Of course, it's there in the resource docs as well. So just keep that in mind. Everything will be same. And these are some of the books, some of my favorite books that I read. And to be very frank, this book is for an MBA person, but I would say I think all the three books is for an MBA person who thinks that technology. But this book to me is very fascinating. It's a pure MBA book, but very much related to all the problem statements that we just move toward every single day. And of course, the three wonderful books. If you are lazy like me, can't read an entire ITIL architecture and all these kind of nonsense, which is like 5 books and you need to master all of it. I think probably if you are more towards the private cloud, go towards the visible ops in a private cloud. If you are more in the hybrid space, but I would say if you're more of a security person, go to this book. If you're more of an person who wants to work in ML ops or a problem statement which is more machine critical, this will be the book. So right now, I would say a non-technology is one of the biggest key things to do towards, right? You need to learn how to build something using technology. And right now, this is the best move that you can do, right? So these are the three books that I would say: Leading Changes, John P. Cotter's amazing; Changes, John P. Cotter, amazing; Elliot Goldratt, probably it has pioneered the ways in which they have to think about mass production, the feasibility of the cost, capex, opex, capital expenditures, and the operational expenditures. I think we had a basics of Azure session. He brought an amazing concept there, so you guys can go check it out. So this book is considered as the Bible in terms of the DevOps world. Like this gave out many pioneers of the DevOps world that we are talking. So amazing book. Please go read this. This is a book, to be more precise, this is the book which is written by a sports instructor and a sports journalist and everything. And now he just moved towards a corporate world, and now he's thinking about how can he bring back a company back in 3 months. Of course, he had a little bit of capital, but like the way this grew, amazing. I think organization must try to adapt. You should try to adapt because GitHub Actions is not the only DevOps tools here. Azure DevOps is there. It's a basically free, by the way. If you want to just check out all the things that we are talking here, I think Azure DevOps. This has the pricing tier information. I'll just go through that. I think this had it, right? This had it, but I don't know. I think I have too many Azure DevOps slides. Don't know, where is it? Where is it? Wait, this was the one. This is the one. The market trend. Oh yeah. So this is the market trend that we are talking about, and you can see that until you have a team of 5 or 10 parallel jobs that you want to build, this is free. And for even for 5 users, one run Microsoft builds is free, and afterwards they charge you around $6. It depends on how many jobs you're running, how many hostings that is happening. All the processes is available for free. So boards, repos, pipelines are always free for you. I think better thing, better thing. You guys can go ahead and start working towards it. And I think it's there in the resources as well. It's called as easy market or something. I think market or something very close to the market. DevOps markets. Yes. So this will be the URL for it. So you guys can go check it out. Let me just go back to the GitHub action slide so that you guys will get an full-fledged knowledge about what is happening in the DevOps world. So all the slides that I showed is also there, so don't worry about that. So yes. So a quick intro about the DevOps world so that you guys don't mess it up. So it's the end of the discussion. Don't worry about it. And every time when you ask the early architecture folks who were there and that, like senior technical architects or the technical architects from era before Docker and the Kubernetes, they will say like, our destination was always to be like we have to go there. Like we have to just keep that 99.9% uptime running and everything. So these are some of the companies that you can really see back. Like you get a knowledge about the old folks who really wanted to have that ultimate destination, the ultimate dream, and how they actually have pioneered different rules, different form of governance and policy in their companies. SEC reports is a must, so just go and read it. So if you want to know a brief something more about it, SEC reports are this. Security Exchange Commission reports. So amazing reports. I used to read it like a bedtime stories, but now I don't have time for it. But this is amazing. Just go back and read it. So some institutions which are really pioneering the ways in the DevOps are these. Chef, Netflix. Has a huge market for DevOps. Like they are known in market because of the DevOps. If you know them because of a show, sorry for that, you're not seeing their DevOps stories. There's something called as OpenCaster. Just go there, just start working. I think Meta, Facebook, Amazon, Knight Capital, ThoughtWorks, Disney Hotstar. They're killing it with with deployment at scale, like 1 crore hits at a time during the World Cup. That was something terrific. Like that's an state of the art DevOps strategy that they built. Google, IBM, Puppet. Puppet is always there in all the state of the DevOps report. What is that report? It just says the DevOps culture, which should be pioneered, which can give some idea about organization, like how to strategize for the DevSecOps, which is based on the cybersecurity and the DevOps, and always about like how to keep the environment clean and deployments, frequent deploys, and so on. I think Fannie Mae marked the beginning of the DevSecOps, so even keep that in mind as well. So to me, I feel most of the reports I've read, it was basically Puppet. So you guys can go list out what is this Puppet. Puppet is nothing but a tool which is just going to have a lot of configurations and everything. But this is one of the state of the art DevOps tool as well. So you guys can go check it out. So it's very difficult if you get addicted. So just keep that in mind. So just a little bit of history about the websites and all these things. We'll be going towards a lot of demos. Like I think we have a Blazor app here. This is an action. .NET Core build static web apps didn't work. That's perfect. But this started working, and this is the website, the Blazor web app. that we just wrote right now, and it's basically doing all the counters. It's basically doing all the hits. We'll just move ahead with all these kinds of things. We saw that that's a shiny looking website, right? But this was a state of the art website that they wrote in 1992. So this is one of the first website. This is the first website that was being hosted by CERN and really marked the history of the way in which we are accessing web. Everybody is betting on web. If you ask any company, they want a website right now. So this is how web is all about. So anybody remembers this shade of a gray? This is a first website of Amazon. Amazon used to sell books, but they are pioneering awesome DevOps culture. They are pioneering cloud in a different way. So anything can happen. So start your own startup. Go to Shark Tank and do whatever you want. So Amazon really evolved because of web. Web really was the changing factor. You still can do the package management. You can still build a software which is more system specific, but web is something that we all need to bet on, and everybody in the world will bet on tomorrow. So first website of the Microsoft, you guys can go check out this link. This will give a list of all the websites and all the versions that they had, and you will be mad. You will go mad once you just see how much was an evolution in terms of the Microsoft's website. And let's just go full screen. So if you are very naive about like learning, hey, what should I do this, what should I do that, I think Phoenix Project, Unicorn Projects are one of the best books that you can really read. Of course, you can read it as a novel is fantastic, so just go and read it. And one of my best videos that I ever saw is from the Martin Fowler, one of the biggest engineer in terms of the microservices. Like if you think of the strategies which he has bought in terms of microservices, it's groundbreaking. And this is the guy that we should always be following towards. So a quick intro about the infrastructure today. Back then, this is how the virtual machines looked like. They were just a complex piece of a puzzle which used to be so costly and everything. But now this is a compact version of the same old version of VM, but no shiny looking RDPs and everything, but it's just a raw file system. This is how you can compare a container with. A container is very lightweight, of course, yes, because over a course of time, they just evolved. Because this is how a VM looks on a system. This is how a container looks. Why I'm explaining it? It's very simple because you need to learn how to strategize on the things. Because my first demo here would be on a reactor file. This is the repository for that. You guys can go check this repository out there. I think you guys can go start checking it out. And right now, there is a lot of things happening. This is the only Sonar Cloud scan build which didn't happen. That's all right. You can't be 100% right at any given point, right? So now you can see that, page build for the deployment. This is the deployment which happened on this website. Once you go hit on the container like docker run -t -p minus d -t, I can show you that. It's docker run -d -t -p. Type in 99 port, which has a port number 18 type, and the container name. And this is the command that we really want to work towards. This is the only command that I want you to run. If you just go out and just do it, this port you can configure, but this is constant because this is something which we opened from the container. So this is an NGINX file system working on local host. So it's basically a system on a system port, right? So that's where I'm defining this. And if you want to know more about this thing here, so this is a port of the local host, and this is the port of and container. So container host. container port. So AINER port. So this is how you should be working towards. So this is what I was talking all about, right? It's all about the ports. It's all about how you strategize that environment. So look at that entire infrastructure. So let me just go ahead and explain you, and then we'll go on to that demo as well. So a container is very much easier to build. So this is how it looks like. All the libraries, binary files are always there. And this is how you always work towards, right? You need to keep it isolated from all the operating system and everything. Like let's say Ubuntu 20.08 comes up one day and they say that it's a long-term support. By the way, even if it's a long-term support, there will be a lot of updates and there will be a lot of packages that will be updating. But now you want to make it more system agnostic. Like even in on my system, on your mobile or a laptop, it needs to work the same way. So now you the only choice is containers. It's just a file system that you're packing it in terms of an VM itself, but not a VM that is so heavy like this. So it's not even a monolithic application that I wrote. It's just a simple raw application. But to give you a quick note about what does a monolithic application look like is like every business logic, instead of being as a microservice, will be an entire service base. If one thing breaks, let's say user interface has some issue out there, everything will stop working. All of these will stop working, and there will be no calls to the database. This is what it is all about. And later, it's basically a piece of a Jenga which is not taken care, and everything just falls off. And this is how people felt, the old folks. If you are lucky, this is what happens to you. So even if something breaks, at least something will start working if you are lucky. So this was the change that we really wanted. So sometimes they used to feel that they were very lucky, the old folks who were still working on the monoliths and everything. So what does a microservice offers to you is a simple way of connecting a database with different services and different user interfaces where they'll all be communicating with each other. And this is how the present day's architecture looks like. There are different regions, different places that the database is set in. They will be communicating in and out of that system. And to be very frank, I do have a channel which is named as Vishwas Narayan. So you guys can go check it out. So it's Vishwas Narayan. Do check the links out so that you guys can listen to some of my good podcasts that I did. I did with some amazing folks. It was fantastic that I was able to draw all those people up and just start learning from them. This is one of the best people that I ever saw. So just go ahead with it. So GitHub Actions, let's just go with it because you have a simple requirement here. If I had not given you that kind of an intro, probably you would have told, okay, GitHub Actions is just DevOps. GitHub Actions is beyond it. I can show you some features which are really fantastic. I think I actually did a video on introduction to DevOps world in Azure Dev community. So you guys can go check out this video so that you guys can have an idea about what are the potentials of an GitHub Actions or anything that we are looking forward to. So slides and resources done. So I need that page. So I'll be keeping it. Of course, I need StreamYard. So this is how your container will also looks like. If you run it on a local system, it probably will be like local host 99. That's what I wrote, and this is how it will be looking like. But now if I click on it, it will not be working. It will just be an simple application. So you guys can go check this entire link. Type in your name. Probably if you are famous, it will just take you there. Go back. All right. Which was Narayan? The videos. There is and send anyway. That's perfect. So just see that because it was being redirected from a different link and everything, it just went off and told that hey, Vishwas Narayan is here. Just go ahead with it. So right now, it's all about that application that you're building. So GitHub Actions, let's just talk the elephant in the room. So GitHub Actions is basically a tool which does an end-to-end DevOps, which does end-to-end repository management, and so on. So let's just have a quick look about it. So agenda is always about to understand the magic of GitHub, what it can offer for the industry. Like I can just give you this entire hopscotch GitHub, you will be amazed by the fact that it's an open source project, but yet it's an amazing build which is happening. Oh God, like seriously to an extent where Elias Thomas is the founder of it, and you guys can see the actions. It has an amazing set of actions, and you can see that sometimes when the build doesn't happen, this will have a lot of protocols and everything built inside from the GitHub Actions. And if the build doesn't happen properly, the fixes and everything will not be considered, and you need not have to merge that pull request out there, right? This is how it is. So see that change requested. So there is a security in the snake Hopscotch. It said that there is a vulnerability out there. What is that vulnerability? Let's see that. Mm. So Snike is also an amazing tool. Don't worry about that. So since he tried adding some of the what you can call it libraries or anything, it failed in that test. It told that there is a vulnerability out there and we can't really build it. And you can go to the build which happened here. I think and see the code as well. Check out. No, 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 no. I don't want you to do that because it's going to be a long thing afterwards. So this is what you're talking about, right? You need not have to do everything. You don't not have to look at the code which he has PR'd there. You need not have to look at the ways in which you are supposed to be merging the code, if it's vulnerable or not. You need not have to test it. You have just automated it, and this is the magic of the entire GitHub. So it's an open source project, but yet it's a company, and Hopscotch is a company founded in 2019. Amazing person, amazing people running this company. Just use this. It's an API documentation tool, so just go ahead and run it. So this is what I was talking about. It's an CI/CD build. GitHub products are pretty cool. Like these, I still have an GHCR build happening. GitHub container registry build, GitHub npm build, a lot of things. So we'll go ahead with all these management tools, packaging, everything. So GitHub Actions are fully integrated with GitHub. Response to the GitHub events. That is your pull, push, versioning of the tools, and also anything that you just changed, merging of the code, everything will be just taken care here. It's a community driven workflow. Basically, it's like you have 100 million developers right now who are open source contributing it, and now GitHub is there for you to take care about that. And this is how their community driven workflows are taken care. Any platform, any language, any cloud, considered. So basically, GitHub is rich because they were bought by Microsoft, and they still have that community-driven workflow, but yet it's a state-of-the-art DevOps tool as well. So they needed some money, and then they added a lot of key features to it. So there is Linux build, macOS build, and also Linux with Ubuntu containers are used for running applications. Windows builds are pretty much there. So you guys can see that like all these build strategies that you are right now doing is for the application building part. Let me say you how. Let's say I want to develop a .NET application. A .NET application will obviously seamlessly run on a Windows. So right now you can use Windows for building it, and everything will be sorted. Let's say I have a program in Swift and I want to deploy it on any of the applications. So macOS build is going to help me. Linux, of course, universal. iOS build, Android build, everything is taken care here. So it's basically the destination that you're defining, anywhere, any place that you can just deploy. From Windows, you can still deploy to the Android as well if you strategize properly. Like that requires time and patience. If you have it, just go ahead and do it. So it's all matrix builds. At the end of the day, You have versions after versions after versions, right? I can show you one of the actions which didn't happen at all. Like it went smoke every time when I just run it. It used to just go smoke. Like no credentials were taken care. We didn't have an access to any of it. You can see that, right? Of course, you get to know, okay, how many builds happened here successful from this process. You can click on the three dots which are here, and you okay, so you can click on the three dots which are built here, and you can see what is the change status, disable the workflows or anything, and you can click on this workflow file, click on this, and you can view the workflow file here. So you guys can see that, right? This is how long it was, but I didn't write even 10 lines here. Everything was written by the GitHub marketplace itself. I probably might have edited this, some part of the things that I was written. So it's very simple. It's very easy to even write these sort of a code. Just go ahead, click on edit option here. You can see that, right? This sort of an icon is there. This is a pen. This is not the best way to do it, but you can still go ahead and start doing it. So see that everything as a marketplace comes into the picture. So I can show you that one thing. So click on any of the marketplace and you can copy the code and paste it down here. It works seamlessly, right? You need not have to do much. If you have edited some of the things, it will obviously give a lot of changes here, but you have not done anything here, so it's not accepting the comments. So right now, GitHub Actions has a lot of documentation which is also being automated. Like if I just ruin one of the commands here, it will say that, hey, there's a bad indentation happening, and just go ahead and edit it properly. And now it just came in. So let's see the magic of it. See that? I just did that. I just changed this code here and this command popped up. So this is how it is. The matrix build that you are now trying to build is specifically written for being developer friendly. Like you need not have to do much of a thinking here. You just get some sort of an error here. Let's say I think there was an error in build ACR or something. There was an error which I really got pissed off about, and I think this was the one which we are talking about. So you guys can see that, right? There is different amount of builds which are happening. You guys can go ahead and just get all these builds, and you can start editing it. Like you can go and see, hey, where is this editing happening? And okay, there is a Docker username, Docker URL, and everything is there. Perfect. So this is one of the version files that we are looking forward to. And then you can look at it. The semantics is still the same. You have something called as users, which you are defining what is the functionality of it. Azure, it's a different one. We'll go ahead with it. So this is what I'm talking about, the matrix build. End-to-end DevOps taken care, right? So this is one form of it. The other form of it is in the form of a block diagrams. What you saw there was a block diagram. Just did all these build and deploys things, and you can still do it the same here. So streaming searchable linkable logs with the build and the deployment process. Yes, this is a cherry on the pie. Like you can get to know what is being changed at one given point of time. You can get to know what are they really working towards, and everything is sorted for you, right? You need not have to work much here. You just need to go there, grab that code. Everything is sorted for you. Like you can really search everything. So it's your logs, so don't judge about it. You have to see some red commands, by the way. If there is a red build, of course you are on the right path of the DevOps. Like you are just moving a step ahead, step ahead, step ahead. So do not judge them. Just go ahead with all these logs that you have right now. So a log explorer, this is how a log viewer looks like in one of the best dashboards that you can look at. And even here you can look at the best logs also. So I think I have a repository called as DVC. It's a DVC Corg experiment. So where are you, DVC? DVC is here. DVC something. DVC. It was a very new repository, by the way. Wait, DVC. I forgot where did I lose that repository. All right, MS Learn. Yeah, so yeah, I think DevSecOps slides are demo CML, continuous machine learning. Yep. So continuous machine learning. You guys can see that, right? I just made all the locks about all my uh, deep learning models that we have. So it's a simple model that we just built on all these regression and everything. So you guys can see that, right? There are different nodes which are sending different builds and everything. So you guys will get to know entire build process which is happening here. So you guys can see this repository as well. This is going to be the best repository, like end to end, DevOps taken care and everything. Thank you, man. All right. So this is what we are talking about, an end-to-end logging which can be more insightful. Like if you want to show some logs to your boss, you can do something like that as well. So built with an encrypted secret store. Basically, today's trend is always about zero trust. I think I can show you that slide as well. So it's basically zero trust. We don't want any passwords, this, that. We need to take care of all the things that we have right now, right? So right now you guys can go out there, check out this slide which I've written. I think it covers most of the Docker, everything. So I think it's the ZT something. I forgot that, but like let's go to that. ZT slides something. I forgot that. I think yep, ZT slides. Last one here. I think the recently updated one, yes. So this is a ZT slide that we are looking at, and it reaches out to that, and you guys can go check it out. So this is what we are talking about. Where does a secret store be there on your repository? It's very simple. Go to the settings. You will see n number of options here. So I think it has changed from a previous talk to this talk. I don't know why. This looks pretty cool. And you have a secret stored here. So click on it. There are two things which are coming up here. So you guys can see that, right? There is actions and depend about. So actions is basically for GitHub actions and builds. Now, this depend about is for the repository, repo, and the manifest files. All right, manifest files. What is a manifest file? A very simple thing. I think we can go here and check out what is a manifest file. Then we can come back to where can you set the secrets as well. So very simple. Manifest files are just your Docker file, a Kubernetes YAML file, or anything that you're writing. That's your manifest file that you're writing right now. So you guys can see that I just wrote a Docker file here, and if I integrate something on Snike or anything, you guys can see that there is a set of modules which have been added. This is from the ACR, I think Azure Microsoft Container Registry, but ACR can also be considered. It's the same old thing. It's a Docker hub from your Azure. So that's the simple definition for it. Of course, there are ports which are already defined, exposing port 80 and 443, HTTP and HTTPS traffic. So this is an HTTPS and this is an HTTP kind of an traffic that you are allowing inside your entire infrastructure. So HTTP and HTTPS is already considered. And right now, there are different files. So if you integrate Snike, it will say that, hey, somebody tried merging this sort of a code here. It is not secure based on the security information that they have. And of course, it saw that there is an HTML file which is hidden here, and this is a Blazor application, and GitHub understands that, and it basically built me and deployment file. And basically you don't have to go and deploy it on your web app as well. You guys can test it in the GitHub initially, and you can do that. So this is what I'm talking at. End to end machine learning, deep learning that you talk there can also be automated. So GitHub has the best thing, right? The best move that you can do today is just learn GitHub completely. That's why I love it. So I think this is one of the Blazor application. Just go fetch as many as you can. Just go nuts with this. So they knew that, and I think one watching, that's me. So that's perfect. So, and also the magic about this entire thing, about that marketplace which just came out very rapidly, saying that you need to set up this or that. It's very simple. GitHub has the potential to understand which language you're using right now. So it knows that there is a Docker file there, CSS, C Sharp, HTML, which is working amazing in the backend. So what now? So as soon as you go to the actions, create a new work file. That's a workflow thing. You just create a new workflow, and just see the magic of it. It differs from one container to other. The other will have a different ones, but just see that it just realized that there is a Docker .NET desktop and .NET which is required. Let's say I want to build test .NET ASP core app. I just want to just do this testing thing. If you see my testing code which I've written there, it's still the same old thing. I've not done any magic there. It's still the same old thing that I've written here. So it's an .NET Core application. So I just made a shorter version of it. But if you want it, we can also make a longer version of it. So let's build this. So ASP.NET Core is Blazor. So we guys can go with the Blazor. That's not a problem. So probably this might work, this might not work. So you guys can see that, right? The different versions of it were being built, and it's being ready for the deployment right now. So .NET application also took its own space, and see that I didn't do anything. There's no .NET or anything. There is a Java JDK which just saw the similar code to Java, and it's now here for you. So everything is seamlessly being automated using some sort of a technology which GitHub has from their proprietary itself, and they're just rocking it. This is what I call, man, magic of all these builds and the deploys. Perfect, perfect entertainment for any person who wants to learn DevOps. Like this is how you should also. So right now, just go back and see what is this secrets and everything all about. So even that is also a biggest challenge for any of the modules and anything. Just go ahead, build these actions. There is a new repository secret. Click on that. Just type in something like Vishwas Narayan name, and it's Vishwas is what I name it, and just add it as a secret. Just see the magic of it. You didn't get a chance to update it again, right? You don't get to see it. You just need to update it. Like you don't get to just compromise on any of the secrets. Even if it gets compromised through a GitHub server, there is an encryption which is happening in a backend which does not compromise for any of the hackers. So this is what I'm talking about. You just created it. Very simple. Just go out there on your repository. There will be an repository that is being there. I think I can show you this as well. So show me the workflow file. What you have to just do is very simple. Have a syntax like this. It's called as an this symbol and this and the dot, and name your secret afterwards. So if you can name everything as a secret afterwards, everything will be taken care here, and you need not have to worry. And this is how you simply syntactically write it as a syntax, and doesn't have to worry about whether it gets compromised in the future. So this is what you're talking about. So an end-to-end DevOps tool which has a lot of encryption tools. So this is what I'm talking about. So here you only get a chance to update it or else remove it. You don't get a chance to see it. Let me just show you in that also. So let me just try updating it. You will see that I can't update it. I can't see it, by the way. So I can just go and update it. Just say I just updated it. I can just do this. I can't see it at any given point. I can remove it at any given point of time. That's not a problem. So this is how it is, an end-to-end security which is being built for you. So it's being set to you, and now it's being encrypted end to end. So GitHub tokens, GitHub secrets are very simple. You just need to go for a developer setting and everything will be taken care. CLI management is all the commands that you read to build, like .NET build, .NET deploy, or else anything kind of a thing like that. That will be taken care. Of course, there are some limitations that you can put on your applications. We will go through that. Of course, you can call a lot of APIs. APIs can be called in a very big way. Like, you just have to have a secrets for it and everything will be sorted. So you guys can go to the settings here through your profile, and there is something called as developer settings. So very simple. Just go to your profile, hit on the settings tab here, and then you will be redirected to this thing, and just click on this developer settings. So now you will be given two permission. You have an OAuth and a personal access token. Personal access tokens are the best way to enter, because over a course of time, you will be doing a lot of data breaks and everything. When you are joining in any of the institutions or else any of the firms, they want to keep a repository of all the changes that you have done. Morning we did this, right? I just did a demo and I used the GitHub tokens to just generate that. And this is what I was talking about. A personal access token can be created. Just say I want to generate a new token. I will just do whenever I want. So there are different options for you as well. So you can use 7 day, 30 day, 60 day, 90 day, or else any amount of days that you can go ahead, create a lot of sessions, and here it is for you. And of course, you can do a custom one as well, but I would say no expiration. Don't worry about that. And all these have a purpose. Like, if you want to just give an access through this uh, entire personal access token to just create a repository, build it, create a gist. Gist is a very amazing way of sharing your resources for the developer community when you're teaching somebody. I think that's the best way. You can click on any of it and it will generate it. Let's see how it generates. Vishwas, oh, it was already there. Vishwas Narayan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, something. Already existed. So I just made a new one. I click on the generate, and you can see that there is a new token generated. And this will be a new token. Don't worry. I'll just delete it off so nobody can use it from now on. So it's a simple move that I just did. And if I revoke all, see the magic of it. It just revoked all of it, and all the tokens just became obsolete. This is how you revoke it. Like, if you know that this is not working out for you, just revoke the token. Like, let's say if somebody is just taking this token, if get to know somebody is taking this token and just they are manipulating your GitHub, of course there is a rollback mechanism which is always given, but you can revoke all the tokens and destroy it at one given point of time. Sorry for that. And this is what I'm talking about: an end-to-end API management with the limitations, CLI management, everything being sorted. And of course, this looks the same way, and token from the GitHub is already being generated and will be given to you like this. And of course, when you come to the hierarchy of secrets, there are different secrets to be taken care. Of course, we discussed about how to put a secret inside a YAML file of a GitHub action file. That's a simple move. You just have to go to a repository, just click on this actions, create actions, anything, and you'll be at default having this as one of the folder which will be created from the GitHub, inside which there will be workflows folder as well, in which you can say all the tasks based on the triggers that you want to build and everything. So it's always there for you. We'll go step by step with all of those things. Don't worry about that. So organization secret, repository secrets, environment secrets. What is an organization secret? Organization secrets comes to like if somebody has an user account which can say, hey, I want to update this or that. So what next? So you have an organization secret linking off to some database, and that becomes an organization secret. A repository secrets, just like your personal access tokens and everything, that will be a repository secret. Environment secrets is basically something like this. Mm, I want to put in something in a container registry. So there is a new container registry here. I have an access keys. They are now given here. So now they hold the access keys. And now if I click on this, you have to enable the admin user or else this will not be available to you folks. There's a new password which is being generated. I need to update this. So yeah, I can regenerate all of it. I can refresh this. I can regenerate the access key. One access key will be regenerated, and that will be a perfect node for you to access any of those applications. I didn't use any of it, so that's why I regenerated. So this is what I'm calling about the environment secrets. Environment secrets are pretty crucial. Once you blew up your production system, you are for sure that you are like ruining your entire organization. So this is what I'm talking about, and I think all the links have been shared, so that's perfect. So this is what I'm talking. So at the end of the day, repository secrets have a different weightage because this can really give access to all the three. If you really want to go mad about your secret strategy, this can be the worst strategy that you can be ever building towards. So repository secrets are the worst thing that you can ever strategize towards. Like, they can really make and break your institution. So over a course of time, this is how you write a secret. That's not how you write a secret, by the way. This was one of the AWS user link, and this was a secret key and an IAM code, which I had written, and I instantly got a mail from this what do you call AWS, and they just instantly mailed me AWS IAM action required. Your account has been compromised, and it said all the repositories which had that. So GitHub secrets and everything. So you guys can see that, right? Inch by inch, we are now coming up with a new solution. Like, the best thing is like they knew that there is a compromisation which happened in terms of the secret which I had given, and now it was being sorted. So this is the best part about it, right? Instantly, as soon as I committed that code, instantly I got the message. So GitHub is working towards an amazing strategy that they really want to build. And over a course of time, I got this mail and everything was being sorted. And thank you for taking the action was already taken care. And this was the mail that I had it, so that you don't worry, you can't really use that IAM access key at any given point of time. So GitHub won't tell any secrets at any cost. And to be very frank, this is their conversation with the hackers. There are security professionals in GitHub who are pretty amazing, who are doing fantabulous job in terms of secret management. Do follow them, check their blogs, you'll be amazed. So there are key functionalities where you can write an enormous amount of pipelines and so on. So I think I can show you one of the pipeline which does npm publish, but I do have a repository which is from the GitHub itself. So you guys can go check this command out there. So it's npm install which was done and file this package. You guys can go start using it. It's very easy, very simple. Just go ahead and do the same old npm install, and everything will be sorted. So my first package was already being commented and it's already there. So let's just do a build. It will show me an error because it was already built. So that version will not be taken care, and you have to go to package.json and you have to start editing it. So I now have a version which is zero point 0.5. So let's see whether this will now be taken care into consideration. So hello plus name plus double exclamation. Let's just go give double exclamation. So right now, this will be taken care. And now, what do you have? He said triggered build, but this will fail. I will say why. Because point 0.5 was already being put into the npm registry from the from my side itself. So there is no way that I'm going to be doing anything. But I can go to the packages here. I can just change the version which I have right now. So I can say zero point 0.6 and just see the magic of it. Automatically there was a comment which just rose up and said that hey, he just made some changes in the packages, and now there is a build which is happening. You guys can see that there will be a new build happening. So you guys can go check out this error as well. So it will obviously say npm publish had the error. It said that home.repository.debug, it was already there, failed to restream the package and everything. So over an existing version, it was not able to publish. Cannot publish over an existing version. So now this build will happen. So I think there's a zero point 0.6 version which is already there. So that's perfect. So you guys can see that, right? The magic of all these kind of builds and everything. So you are creating a pipeline which can easily share, be secure, more reliable, matrix build, fantastic builds, and all these strategies are really taken care. So it's you can share all these repositories, you can really build it, but the secrets will still remain secrets and nothing is compromised for an organization. I'm talking about governance and the state of the policies. And of course, we can automate any amount of workflows, any amount of tasks that you can really build towards. There are different ways that you can access all these builds. So typically, when you have an event which is merge pull request or anything like push, that will be a trigger. Then there'll be a workflow trigger. Then will be actions which will be triggered from the user. So it's all code at the end of the day that we have at any given point. This is the same old repository that goes in at any given point. But as a developer, we expect chocolate every time, but chocolate is not the only solution there. Sometimes it's still the code. There might be a lava thing that was like scorching hot and it might burn you, and that position can change at any given point of time. So probably when the event happened, probably didn't recognize the workflows, didn't come up properly, then the actions was happening but the workflows is still so bad and it's still happening. Like I can show you one of the builds which is still happening, I think so. Probably MS Docs, I think Reactor file, I think one of the builds is still happening. I don't know why. Like you need to strategize for that. Like that's where you're paid as a DevOps engineer, by the way. You need to strategize for that. I think this was the repository where I saw. It's still in progress. I'm like 74A and 3 hours ago. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You need to deploy to the Azure web apps, right? Why are you not being deployed? And this is crazy amount of things, man. This is crazy amount of things. I think you guys can go check this out. I think the deployments will come here. So Azure web app demo, yes, it still really came up and it still is working. So this is what I'm talking, an end-to-end lifecycle managed, an end-to-end build process which is being taken care. So nothing to worry about much, and everything is being taken care from all the different people who are strategizing towards it, and that's pretty much it. So basically workflows have that thing, so there might be something bad which is happening that can be detected using workflows. And I have to talk to you about a very amazing topic called as a Toyota production system. Toyota production system really laid a foundation for the DevOps mindset. If you think of the biggest institution that I'm talking about, they're talking about Toyota production system, which is an age-old technology which still dates back to years and years of research in the mass production. Number of researchers who really work towards it, Deming, Ono Toyota, Shio Shingo, and all these guys, but still as its own trend. So let me just show you how. One of the one of the repositories, I have built something called as a Docker scan. A Docker scan is an basically a build which is just going to help you all these kinds of an security scan and everything. So it's being taken care. But now, of course, there was a Docker scan which can be done by using Snake itself. But I have made sure that let's just go ahead and build something using this. So there is an high risk which I have done. So if I name it low, just see what happens. The builds doesn't happen at all. So let's say tax is okay, but I want to push it to ACR. But like let's say let's just go low on this. So that's perfect. And also there are other files which I can really go ahead and build. Docker publish with scan. So there is a cron job which I just showed. So a cron job is something like a 38 day 13th hour at any given point of time. Just go ahead and create this cron job and just keep running it. So publish uh, somewhere image release tags and everything, that's also there. So it's basically build tags which are being deployed, and I can go ahead and build this, right? Let's say I have put critical here. Let me just put low and low. I'll show you the magic of all these builds. Keep this build in mind. It's Docker image scan. So Docker image scan. So now you can see that there is a difference in the way in which the code was being accessed, right? So now the build will happen, the Docker build, everything will be taken care, but the deployment will not tend to happen because of the scan which went wrong. And this thing which is green here will turn red. Like I can show you one of the previous build by the time which was happening. You can see that there was a container scan job which I just wrote and edited it there, right? I can show you that. Don't worry about that. I think that's the workspace. So there was a job which said, okay, container build and push Docker image. That's perfect. But there is a naming task which is already saying container image scan. So if I click on that and say that and see that, there was an error because there were low vulnerabilities which were being discussed. And if I click on it, and you can see that there is always a scanning which is happening, and this low vulnerability which you had given didn't really start working. So the container scans, everything that you are taking right now is being sorted. So it's been 1 minute right now. Let's see what might be the status of it. If it has gone to container scan, that should have worked by now, or else this might not work. Let's see. Okay, the tagged deployments might also give me a sort of an error. So I can show you what is this tagged deployments and everything. Oh, sorry for that. So if you can just go here, click the deploys here, and I can name it 9 and something, create a tag. This will trigger something. So this is what I'm talking about, an end-to-end lifecycle management for a software. And let's see what is this tagged deployment all about. Let's see the workflows. I think if the scan really happens properly, probably this will stop. This is a tagged deployment. That's also okay. Where was the tagged deployment going down? All right. Now it's got started. I think probably image scan might not come up properly here. Let's see. Pushing happened, but like image scan didn't happen, and GHCR will not be updated, I think so. Since I wrote low here, CS practice violation, everything is being considered. This is what an end-to-end DevSecOps is also all about. What is a DevSecOps? What I'm doing is DevSecOps right now. I'm automating the security scanning, security vulnerability testing, and everything using some sort of a code, a shiny looking Linux command, DevSecOps. That's it, folks. See the fact that it's just taking a lot of time to see whether there are some more lower vulnerabilities and things like that. So I think I can show you the workflow file here. So I named it low and low. It's still here. I think this scan might give me an red text. Let's see what's going to happen, because it's a pretty long process. When you think of scanning, it's a huge task. Scanning for the main repo and everything. Probably it might have had failed. By then I will explain you some more concepts so that you will be having it. So that's an add-on called mechanism that we are now just testing. I'm saying that hey, if there is a low vulnerability which is coming up, just say me. I'm just going to take care of it and I'm going to patch it here and there, which is required for my system. And in the real world, this is how they look at the staging. Can be any numbers, dev, test, everything will still remain the same. The staging can be production, pre-production, 10 slots. So there is something called as deployment slots in your this one. What do you call the web apps? It doesn't work for me because I don't have the permissions of that. But you guys can go check that out. So here you see the deployment slots. So you guys can go click on it and you can create different amount of slots and that will be upgraded. But I don't have the upgrade for the subscription, so don't worry about that. Yep. See that there was a container scan which just got stopped. Fatal, pull it, Docker pull, DHCR or Docker is timed out, increases timeout, and error occurred while scanning the image for the best practice violation. Yep, I did some best practice violation and it just got done. So see that, this is the same old previous build which was just taken care. So it now said there is a fatal error which is always coming up. Previously I didn't change much here and this really got done and this really didn't get done. So over a course of time, this is what you realize that hey, how can I automate an end-to-end deployment and a lifecycle management? And this is what you really take care about. And of course there are different repositories which are working the same way as I'm doing here. If you see, I have released it on the npm registry. Ka matlab, this release has happened here. Post checkout publish at npm. I think this is my repository that I have taken care. You guys can go check it out. Very simple. I just did something. My first package, which was at 11111. So npm package. npm. I am already there, right? So let's just go. npm js sign in. I need to sign in with. I forgot the password, folks. I can't do it right now, but this is how you do it. A very simple thing. Just go to YouTube, release npm packages using GitHub Actions. See the steps which is being given there. You will still be amazed by it's the same old step that I've done, and everything will be the same thing there as well. So right now, this is one of the repositories. You guys can go do this. My first npm package from Vishwas, and everything is sorted for you. So the version also came up. So the bytes of it, everything is being taken care. So that's perfect. All right. Why is my mouse going so fatal? So at the end of the day, what I'm now trying to do is dev test stage, and this is how it is always about. So it's all still the same old GitHub which comes into the picture, and it really builds up the potentials of it. So to be very frank with you, if you want to DevOpsify it, this is the strategy for you. There is a code, there is always a warnings which comes into the picture. There is a different kind of a staging environment. At the end of the day, policy always makes a change here. Deployment obviously happens if it's a right staging strategy that you're built. If it goes wrong at any given point, I'll just keep the warning for all your DevOps process as well as the code. So what this two arrows represent is just a shift left in all your security process and everything, but your code really has that thing. So right now you can see that this is just a sysdig tool, but destination can be anything. So right now, if you commit a code, there will be a trigger happening, there will be a publish, there will be a fail build, everything will be artifacted. What is an artifact tree? Which is just a collection of all the code and the resources. I can show you that as well. So don't worry about that. So if you can check out on the releases that I did right now, like this was just one release thing that I just did, right? So what is an artifactory? It's a very simple thing. I just release something and there is an artifactory as an asset which is being created here. So this is an artifactory. And I can show you one of the Python artifactory. Yes. I think Reactor remote web app as an artifactory build, which is there. I can show you that as well. So build and update the jars. You guys can see that, right? There is already a jar thing which is already being built. So that basically contains all the code and the build files. So you guys can go check that code as well. So you guys can have an access to all of it. So just go ahead and check it. Please change thumbnail and also DP of your. Yeah, I will do that, Sarthak Joshi. I'll do that, man. Sorry for that. I know that I didn't realize that was the worst picture of mine that I ever took. Sorry for that, folks. I'm very sorry for that. So just just go ahead, just go ahead and just start building out there, and this is how it is. So I'll show you one more step in which you can also access all the resources and everything. Then we'll end off the discussion of it. So I think we talked a lot of builds and everything. So a quick intro of a roundup so that I can show you all the repositories and I can explain you up. And even trigger push for the branches of the version control tool, pull pull from the designated user. That's perfect. Scheduling the workflows, cron jobs, and many other concepts. Cron job I just showed you there. I'll show you there. Don't worry about it. A cron job is just a dedicated workflow that you will be designing in order to just run that workflows again and again, just get to know if there is some build error happening or not. So you'll be having it. And later on, this is how you do it. So I just wrote an cron job which just says how you can schedule the workflows. There is a pull and a push request which is always being taken care in the main branch. Whether you name it master, main, doesn't matter. Just go ahead and strategize it properly. And like infrastructure as a code, just a name of it, and it just started working towards it. So you guys can see that, right? Within this image, you get an option of how the trigger happens. You can also do tag version builds and everything, but later on there is a different builds which is happening. So over a course of time, just go ahead and start working towards it, and everything will be sorted. And of course, there are manually triggered events. So there is a workflow dispatch and a repository dispatch. What I am talking here is in workflow dispatch, where I am just throwing in the packages in the form of this. You guys can go check out this as well. It's a similar way of working with your Docker images and everything. So don't worry about that. Everything is sorted. And of course, this is a GitHub page which we just built. I think this is from the GitHub only. So this is what you get from the container builds and everything and so on. So don't worry about that. So yeah, let's start building towards it. So this is what I'm talking. So a repository dispatch or workflow dispatch is always being triggered. So you can decide upon it. A workflow dispatch is basically you are saying, if I build happens, then deploy that application. So I'll be showing that as well. So don't worry. So of course the workflows file will always be in a YAML syntax, and they are the list of the events which will be describing all the things. And later on you can just strategize on what to be triggered and what not. Of course you can write a good amount of shell script here. It's also a shell script at the end of the day, but in a shiny looking manner according to the YAML. And of course it will be in .github/workflow folder on your repository. And this is how it is, folks. It's just being written for you. And I just represented what it looks on a VS Code. This is a absolute definition on what it looks on a VS Code. So on a push on a branches main, pull on a branches main, just trigger this entire workflow. This is in workflow dispatch itself. And there's a build page which has been accessed. At the time, if I start creating, just build it, and this is a repository workflow dispatch that we are doing, and that's perfect. And of course, workflows runs on Linux, Mac OS, Windows. Ubuntu containers can be used as a Linux. We'll go ahead with that as well, so don't worry about that. So it's the same old build, same old aspects which are turning out. So remember this one thing. It was told by one of my guests in my podcast. DevOps is a discovery, it's not a destination. It's like you figure out that you had a vulnerability at one given point of time through discovering the fact that this really had so much of vulnerability and we didn't know that, and we now need to ramp up our workflow. DevOps is a discovery and not a destination. Ben Rockwood, amazing DevOps professional, by the way, much more in the DevOps community. And of course, all these actions are reusable set of code. Referring to the workflows is always considered. We can author our custom actions itself. So it's a very simple thing. You author it based on your thing, the requirement that you have, and throw it in the marketplace. So that's what I told about the sysdig and all these. So there is a different set of triggers, builds, which is being given out by different companies, different people, all these things. You can think about the IDs, you can think about learning, localization, mobile. If you think of mobile, Flutter, all these things, I was a Flutter developer. I never used to do that extensively, but it's one of the best that you can look about. So you can strategize using different ways. So you guys can go back to the marketplace, look at all the different kinds of the builds and the deploys which are happening. So don't worry about that. Everything is being taken care from the GitHub people itself. I think you can remove me from the stream here so that I can show them the entire screen. Don't worry about that. So if it would be great if you can remove. Thanks for this, Gerald Nicholas. Pleasure, brother. So right now, types of actions. There are different types of actions. So there is virtual environments which are considered. So this is what you're taking care. So there are different languages that you are taking care about. So anything that runs on a JavaScript is a JavaScript action. Any language, no worries, that's a container action. So I love this slide. I don't know why. Though speed is so awesome. Yes, speed is okay. Ka matlab, it's just an workflow that we are just running and everything is taken care from here. So user experience is awesome. Container workflow user experience is not that awesome because over a course of time you have amazing amount of matrices which comes out all of the sudden when the security is not taken care. So again, continuous delivery from Martin Fowler. Just go ahead, learn from him. Amazing guy. You will be shocked by the way he has really delivered these talks. And of course, I told you about the marketplace. You need to go back and look at all these marketplace. Everything is being sorted for you. And just use your brain. Just use your brain to write some YAML code and everything is sorted. And of course, I'll be explaining about chainable actions and I'll be going to some examples of the Azure web apps. So just wait for me. It will just get over in a course of time. So it's a monolithic action. At the end of the day, it's a single block of it. If something goes wrong in the build, deploy doesn't happen. So this is a monolithic action. A chainable action is linked to each other. Every action that you're writing right now is linked to each other. So if the build happens, deploy happens. If the build doesn't happen, deploy doesn't happen. So this is where the chainable action. So if the build doesn't happen, the chain cuts and the deploy doesn't happen. This is where the chainable actions comes into the picture. And if you think of all these kinds of action that is being defined, so it's the definition that we are going. So there's a build functionality, and I just want you to answer this. It's a simple way. It's a build functionality complete and everything which is being sorted. Of course, I can remove this. That's not a problem. So don't worry about that. So what I'm just showing you is an end-to-end registry build which is happening. So this is a monolithic action which is just like build and a push happens just for it. And this really started running and you need not have to worry about it. And what you just did is you just modified your same old Linux command with some sort of a shiny looking clusters and all these kind of things. And that's being sorted. So destination information kept as a secret, that's perfect. And you had everything sorted from your side. So this is what you call a monolithic action where everything is in a block and this will be in only one one chotu dabba, which is your build, that small box which we see in our GitHub Actions. This build thing will just happen in one small box, and it's just a chainable thing inside that only one block. If one of the things doesn't work fine, it just stops at that given point of time, and it will be in a red text. And later, this is how your chainable actions look like. What does each job do? It's a simple thing. It just goes to the version of it, and it just takes each and every little snippets of code, and it just analyzes based on the jobs that you are assigned. So it's still the same old steps, and it's just being deployed to you right now. And you just start naming the same things that you just learned over a course of time. It still remains the same. I'll just give a simple intro in the deploy part, but this takes a little bit of time. Why is there a target machine required? Yes, because when you have a sort of an artifactory and you are just connecting through them, you need to have a running machine which is just running the deploy code itself. So this is where you are specifying, just get me that machine back. Because as soon as you saw that build was a complete job which just took place, and deploy is another job which is in the same indentation as the build, and now there are sub jobs for it, and now there is a requirement for a target machine to be running. And of course, environment is being discovered here, folks. Environment. So if you become a DevOps engineer tomorrow, keep this in mind. What you will be strategizing is for this. You'll not be strategizing for this. You'll be strategizing for the environment. And that is how DevOps engineering has been evolving over a course of time. And then we knew that there was a community workflow which said that, hey, if you want to deliver something on an Azure web app or else deploy something on an Azure web app, use the community workflow and action. And there you have it. Community workplace and action is already being defined. Of course, there are some secrets. You can consider some secrets that I wrote here. And this is particularly linked to the secrets that we just wrote. And this is being sorted for you. And over a course of time, there are different steps, there are different strategies that you can build over. And this is what it looks like. This is the feedback loop that you get from your deployments. And there you have it, folks. What is your deployment logs that you get from all these processes that you did using the GitHub Actions is very simple. It's the status of the deployment, complete history of the deployment, status of multiple and a single deployment environments or the target that is considered and analyzed here. Of course, it is long sentence. I'll just explain it in a very short time. Multiple and a single deployment environments were taken care, and they were being analyzed right now. And everything started moving a step by step approach. And now you have all the logs here. This is the meaning of that. And let's pump up some skills. Let's see some demos. And of course, there is a lot of npm registries and everything. Of course, I can explain you that, and we'll go on to the repository. It's all that. It's a step debug, runner debug, everything is being considered there in your GitHub action system. You'll go through it. And also, there is a way in which you can locally run a GitHub action. There is something called as a Nectos React. And this repository is one of the leading DevOps itself because it's written in Go, Shell, and others. Why? Because it helps you to run GitHub Actions locally, and then it can be taken out at any given point of time. Think global, act local, and this is what they are just doing towards. And perfect example for the state of the art DevOps report, which represented how to do DevOps in a very secure way as well as not paying too much of money. This is where you talk about. And Nectos was amazing. So you guys can look at this repository and you guys can check it out. So we saw that. And now, as soon as you think of the registries which are there in the GitHub, Nugget package is for the .NET developer, container and Docker is for the containers that you're building, Ruby is for the Ruby developers, Apache is for the Java developers, NPM is for the Node.js guys. So don't worry about that. Everything is being taken care of here. And of course, what we'll see is an event workflow scanners, build GHCR, and how to leverage builds and more. And some more best practices is versioning, documentation, test coverage, maintaining the metadata. It's a very simple task. Some shell sudo commands that we will also go through, just like our Docker commands that we had, and a lot of dedicated actions to execute, and multiple pools with specific tools. Yes, we can have that. What is a pool? It's nothing but that same old Ubuntu latest thing that you were just running. That's what a pools is all about. So this is how your GitHub Actions look like. So if you are sometimes running on some sort of an advanced systems like Windows latest or something, this probably the provision might take a lot of time. So probably running it on a local system is good, but sometimes when you have some sort of an support, you can really run it at any given point of time. So Windows latest, it's always being there, and this is some of the example where the build is not being done at one given point of time. Like it doesn't happen like this. And this is one of the example where you just have to wait for the initialization of the machine and everything is being sorted. So you have successfully requested the workflow has been cancelled. So I cancelled the workflow and that command came in. So this is what we are talking about. So courses to study from, there's a lot of things. So you guys can go check out all the courses. Of course, GitHub has an amazing bug bounty program. Just go make some bounties. Critical have 30,000 to 20,000. मास्टर्स कर सकते हैं आप तो critical solve कर सकते हैं तो masters can be completed using the two bug bounties that you'll be doing. So yeah, that's what it is. And of course, GitLab has an amazing bug bounty on HackerOne and every places. So you guys can go check out that. So and let's just go to the repositories and see what is happening. So each and every file has its own way. So I'll go to the matrix build and I'll show you one by one. So what's happening here is a very simple thing. So I'll go to the workflow file. And now it's a very simple move that I did. I just knew that I need to version something. And after me versioning something, that's the tagger deployment that I had done. It's the same old way that you just version it. And this workflow will be triggered. And now it just did the same old task of just going to the Azure and a Docker. Of course, this login, everything was taken care because I'm now putting it in the Azure container registry. And then on the same old build happens, the deploy happens, and the scan also happens the same way. It's the same old way of writing your Linux commands in a very shiny looking fashion. And everything was sorted here. So right now you can see that, right? I just used the internally available scanning tools which were there. So the scanning really happened seamlessly without me saying any of the things. And then this entire thing. So look at the matrices that are taken care. So the name of it, severity of it, the token, of course, the GitHub token is there. So if you can't every time generate a token and put it like this, it's a very simple move. Just do this GitHub token, personal access token for your GitHub will be created and everything is sorted for you. And this is one of the workflow, and there are many other workflows which are similar to that. We can't go through that. That's not a problem, but you can see the repository as well. And I think page deployments, yes, this workflow is pretty cool. I think I can show you the workflow file here. So don't worry about that. So delete the logs. I think this happened without me just giving anything. I think generate the documentation. It's one of the functionality from your Docker GitHub itself where they are just seeing what are the commit files and everything. So all the things end to end, what was supposed to be done from you as an logging thing and everything, writing it on a documentation, everything is being taken care here. So actions, generated docs, and everything was being sorted here. And if you can look at the workflow files which are there here, it's still the same old community workflow that I took. Generate the HT doc, generate the docs. That workflow was already there. From the marketplace, I just added the code and I just did all this work and everything was sorted for me. So same old way, GitHub tokens. This was already taken care by the people there. So you guys can do this as well to access your token, but Github.token will also work the same way. So don't worry about that. So this simple YAML file generated me so much of a docs about the checkouts, the action generated docs, what are all the functionalities that it did, everything that got sorted. And all the commands that we really ran, the result of the gen docs are okay. Status of all the builds were also considered. And you guys can see these commands, right? So if you can see that git add, all the commands were being considered and commit files were always being done. Who did it? User email was also being told. And this, my friends, what I'm talking is an end-to-end documentation for who did what for your code. And that's perfect, right? So I'll show you some of the Flutter testing code. It took me 28 minutes to run that Flutter test. So this is one of it. I think I showed you the remote web app. That will also be done. Don't worry about that. So if you can see that this build, what I'm talking here, took me 25 minutes to 30 minutes to build. What it is just a complete repository, which is just going to build all my resources that is required for me to get all my Flutter application up and running, packaging it as an APK file, JSON, and everything which is related to that, and throwing it as an artifact. So, what is your asset? It's just nothing but an artifact. So artifacts were now considered and were now taken care into the consideration. So assets are just an equivalent to your artifacts. So assets are just nothing but an artifact, which is now generated by building your entire repository. So this is what your actions was. If I can open the workflow file, it's a simple action which I took. The same old pubget, pubtest, Flutter. If you know Flutter, this will be the comments for it. And everything got sorted. And you can see that it still runs on the Java version. And it knew that there was a Flutter which had a requirement, and everything was considered here. And of course, it just got pushed to the asset section, which was already there in the GitHub itself. And now I can access it as an APK file. Anybody can download it and they can start using this application. It's a simple application which I wrote. No hacking, geeking, and all. Don't worry about that. So different versions were also being built, right? If I want to really build a new version of it, what can I do? I can't sit and write a command for the .6, or else I can't write an installation on my own computer, or else have a VM, right? So it did everything as a build. So everything was taken care. The subversions were also taken care here. So if you say Java version X, it will say Java the next advanced version, which is in the 12 itself. So that was considered. And of course, all the builds happened seamlessly. And to be very frank, I use Windows and Linux over a course of time. Here I am using Mac OS. So this to me is an free Mac OS build, which I just did, just because I had published this. So another fact, only if you keep your projects public, you can use this GitHub Actions, or else you can go to a model which is $4 per month. That's also okay if you want to run on a private repository, but it's an easy way to run all these things for free. So why do you waste the money? So just go ahead and just do this. So Flutter done. I think reactor file, like everything is explainable. Don't worry about that. So I would just show you a simple DevOps thing, which is required for tomorrow itself. Tomorrow also I'll be repeating the same old demo, but I can show you this as well. So don't worry about that. So I wanted to create a new one. So a new 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is being created, and running the task is on different versions. So I want to run a Python application which is in a 3.9 version, and I want to run all of it, right? So now I'll just take all of these builds and I'll start deploying. Okay, the validation didn't happen because I didn't write the web app, which was Python 3.9 version. So of course, there are different SKUs that you can start building. So there are free SKUs that I have right now. So I'm just building using that only. So I think which was 3.39 version that is available for me. I can go with that. I can create it. What I can do is a very simple thing. As soon as this get initialized and the deployment happens, it will be taken care. And also, any other questions? No questions, no problem. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is here, and you guys can go out and check out all the things that you really want right now. Sorry for that. And here you go, folks. This is my LinkedIn. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions, queries. We are happy to talk to you. And of course, this thing is going to take a little bit of time. It's done. If I go to all of these, and there is a deployment tab here, and just go to the deployment section inside it. A very simple move that I'm just doing, and I'm now adding all the files here. I'm not doing anything magical or mystical here. I'm just doing the same old builds and everything. So since this is a Python application that I was desiring to build, let's go and build it. So meanwhile, I can give you guys some repositories. I think just take my repository and use it. I don't care. Don't worry about that. We also take a lot from Microsoft and everything. So don't worry about that. We can move ahead and we can start working towards it. So copy that, and I'll just have that because I just need to keep it in mind. So it's which was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Yes, I took that, and I have this repository in mind that I want to build, and I'm going to build it, and I'm going to have the same old main build which is happening here, and it's going to be in the preview file. If you preview the file, it's still going to be the same old GitHub Actions, right? The same old GitHub Actions, the same old chainable action which is being built. So the build and the deploy are two different things. So there is a new machine which is being provisioned to run right now, and the path is also being considered. Just look at the magic of it. I save it here, setting up the deployments. As soon as this turns green, I refresh this. This was saying 3 hours ago, and now it's saying now. So right now there is an action which is being triggered, and there's a new file which is being generated. This is the new action, and now there's a build happening. That means it's just churning out the Python code and everything, and it's now being sorted. So see the magic of it. It just saw that there was an installation of the dependencies which were required from the requirements.txt, and it did seamlessly. And now there's a deploy happening. Of course, this is going to take a lot of time. So in a meanwhile, how do you do the same thing for an repository which contains Java? It's a simple Java thing. It depends on which server that you are going to build on it. And now you just have the publish which is being generated. And now if you can see that, click on it, you can trigger a build which is already being done, and now it's already up and running. That website will be up and running for you folks, so you guys can go check that out. So this is the website which is in a free tier. It will be there for you folks, so you guys can go check that out. So let me just go and change something in this repository. Let's say I change source main. I go to the demo application Java. I think this went bad. Controller, home controller Java. Yeah, this is the way in which your Spring Boot app will be hosting. And thank you all. This is a new code that I did. Just look at the magic. I just commit the code. Here you go. There's a new action which just got triggered right now in front of me, which is just going to do all these kind of things. So it's the same old jar building process, jar file building process, and everything. Everything is being taken care from your deployment perspective, and every person in here can start working. So right now You just have two builds which are still happening. So let it happen. So that's it. That's it from my side, folks. This probably ends up all the demos that I wanted to show to you. And of course, tomorrow is an advanced level where we'll be going in terms of Azure specific itself with a little bit of DevOps inside it, so that you get to know every services on the Azure, so that we can go ahead with the step-by-step approach for the boards, test plans, repositories, artifacts, and things like that. So, meanwhile, if you have any queries about the DevOps, just reach out to me. I'll be there for you. So, yes, I think there were some sort of a deployed applications. I think we can go test that out. So, view deployments. This is already a build deployment, so it's now being triggered. So, somebody triggered it. It's me, but let's see whether this was a previous one which I had built, but this is the recent one. I think this is taking a huge time, man. It takes a little bit time to load, but it still works. It still works the same way, so don't worry about that. So if the magic about this is, if the other build doesn't happen properly, the one build which happened without any sort of an hassle will still be available to the customers. So this to me is the state of the art DevOps that we just built right now. And of course, a lot of things to be learned from each and every one of us. So just keep asking questions, learning all the things, what you can do with respect to the GitHub Actions and everything. Of course, if I can trigger this again, I think there will be a new set of builds which might have had triggered and happened. But let's see. Let's just wait for a little while. It just takes 2 minutes or more to just build all these kind of processes. So we can go ahead with one demo, which is being completely filled. And of course, everything will be sorted for you folks. I think this is the one that we Spring Resource demo is the one. So yes. So of course it's going to take a little bit of time. Why did it take a little bit of time? All right. Just got initialized with that application. So that's why. So it's being queued. Of course, downloading the artifactories and it will build. And if I refresh this for all or the anything that I changed after this will be available there. So don't worry about that. So that's the end of the Spring web app demo. This is the, oh, this build has already happened. So that's perfect. So we can click on this new build that just happened, and we can see what really went right and what really went wrong, right? It's 3.9 version, right? So there is that version of code which is being taken care and everything being sorted. I think new comments, no new comments. Sorry for boring you, Varun. So it's a
No,
long
no,
thing sometimes.
no, it's nothing like that. I was just going to remind you that, sir, it was an insightful session, but you went just across some time. But no worries, you went for a very good hands-on session, and the audience will obviously learn a lot, and it's going to help them. And
Yeah,
at the last, I
yeah,
would like to say that this is just one video, and the whole series is coming up. You can stay tuned with us. The tomorrow
yeah.
also we are going to have a session on GitHub Actions only with some more advanced concept. So you all can join us
Like
tomorrow as well
we
for
will be
6
talking in
p.m.
terms of all the new things that will be going ahead, right, with the application hosting, building, and everything. So we'll go ahead
Yeah,
with a lot of things. So yeah,
and
let's see what really got changed here. The new build. All right, the new build should have been up and running now. So this is just a build. All right, this is the Spring web app hosting. All right, I don't know why, but I think the new changes should have had been triggered by now. But like, Did I do that? If it's not, it probably should be working in your system because I changed it right now, right? So I think probably UPS for hosting. Thank you all. I don't know why thank you all is not coming. Oh yeah, it came up. Spring Boot, right? It takes a little bit of time to load. So thank you all just came in. So that's it, folks. What we just edited was from here. No, I think for hosting for us from here, I think this was the newest addition to the code and it just came up. And that's the end of the demos, folks. Thank you so much for being part of the session. And I think, Varun, if you have anything to say, just jump in.
Yeah, actually, thank you very much, Vishwas sir, to come here and deliver such a interesting and knowledgeable session to all our audience. Thank you very much. I hope the audience must have been benefited with this session, and looking forward for more such informative videos,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you are obviously coming up with. And it was really nice session. Thank you very much. Till then, stay tuned. Good night. Bye bye.
Yeah, I have.